you for being here today. Thank you for your service to the United States of America in the position you've taken on. And, certainly CFPB as a regulator has its protagonists and its antagonists. And I just thank you guys. I'm looking at the TILA RESPRA disclosure statements, and it's a lot simpler than other forms I've seen in a long time. I'd ask you to just make sure that everybody can deal with these things. They aren't just, you've been working on them for a long time. The industry's getting ready, but please take into consideration the mortgage bankers, the title companies, and all that will have to use these things, and just make sure everybody's ready.
Okay.
And there'll be, a day when everybody has to accept them and move forward, but let's just make sure we have as many people included as possible. And really, I do congratulate you on your stamina today and the work that the agency is doing. There are some places where I disagree with you all. Mr. Williams was discussing one of those. As you know, I was here when we passed Dodd-Frank, and I actually carried the exemption for auto dealers. And so I was a co-sponsor of it. I remember it and was involved in the discussion of it. And what I am concerned about, sir, is just doing an end around. Okay, that, well, we do have jurisdiction over lenders, and therefore we're going to, scrutinize and make sure that there's no disparate impact by some lending that the lenders do to the auto dealers, because the auto dealers, they negotiate on price and they negotiate on rate. That's how they do it. And so what I'm concerned about is CFPB stepping into something that I consider to be the purview of the Department of Justice. Whether or not there is some discrimination in setting rates, there really is something they look at on a continuing basis across a whole variety of fields. But I would just ask you all to stay in your lane.
But so do we. On the Equal Credit Opportunity Act, both the Justice Department and the CFPB have enforcement authority there over lenders. We have, as I see it, we have a responsibility. Congress told us we have that responsibility. We do not have authority over dealers, and we've been careful not to exercise that.
And that's why I'm saying to you, I appreciate that, but I also see this as kind of an end around. That, I'm just...
Yeah, I
okay,
don't think so.
Look,
we
I'm
try
not
to be very, very careful.
in this.
No, I understand.
I'm telling you my perspective on it.
I got it. Yep.
And so that you understand why I've carried or co-sponsored some legislation to make it clear that this is a place, in my opinion, for the Department of Justice, given what we did in Dodd-Frank. And I guess my question to you is, does CFPB, is it something you desire that, in effect, there be a flat rate and that really auto dealers only negotiate as to price, everybody gets the same rate? I mean, there are some in the industry that think that might be simpler, easier way to go, but many in the industry like to be able to negotiate on both levels, believing that it helps the consumer. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. We've all been in negotiations at auto dealerships. It's not a lot of fun, but you can work through it.
Yep.
Are you all focused on just trying to get a flat rate?
That would be one of the ways in which this issue could be resolved, but we've come to understand that that's by far not the only way. We've been open to other suggestions, and people can have a compliance management system that feels to me pretty onerous and burdensome. I do think that when the customer comes into a dealership and the dealer gets a buy rate for the customer and then marks it up without the customer having any idea what's going on or why that's happening, that's problematic. And the Justice Department and we both believe that this has caused a certain amount of discrimination in the market, and it's something that should be addressed. But flat fee is not the only approach. I think there's a number of possible approaches, and we've talked to lenders extensively about this. And to the extent dealers have wanted to talk to us about it, we've listened to them as well. But no, that's not the only means by which this can be addressed.
Okay, well, I would like to work with you all. I know you're familiar with the Charles River study, which
Yes.
calls into question the methodology of the CFPB. And I just think we should be able to work this out, but if we can't, then I'm going to continue to pursue the legislation that I've co-sponsored in the
I
past.
understand that.
All right, thank you very much for your time.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for your service.
Thank you.
Time of the gentleman is expired.